Aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
Hi, everyone. This is Grandmaster Jessie Bowen. Welcome. We have a fantastic program going on today. Today is the last day of our martial arts month. It's been great. We've had so many key people on, but just, thank everyone for supporting the Martial Arts Authors Month. So today the grand finale, we have Grandmaster Andrew Linick is here today, one of my heroes. We have, the Black Dragon here with us today. And we have Mark Shuey. Again, guys, this is just so much fun. And, Grandmaster Van Cleef, we saw each other, I guess, almost 5 years ago in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Yes.
And,
at Larry's tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been great. And we got Karen Eden is trying to get on to our call today. And so, hey, I just want to go ahead and crank it up.
Yeah, that's right.
The Martial Arts Authors Month is really about sharing that martial artists, we have this unique information, this unique skill of teaching the martial arts. We have these life skills and coming back and sharing what we've done in life. So with the people that we have here today, you've actually, official karate magazine, the Cane Master, we have the film star, and all of these things connect back in. You have a story. So we're really trying to tell about your story, that you have one, to let you know that you have a story and to share that. So again, welcome. I'm going to have you guys to go through each one of you, and I'm going to have you just sort of introduce yourself briefly, and we're going to come back with just some questions. You can jump in. Again, today is just a day of fun and information. This event is sponsored by Elite Publications. That's elitepublications.org. It's a new publishing company that we started about a year ago. And again, our purpose is to help people to be able to tell their story. So Grandmaster Linick, why don't we start with you, Hanshi? Tell us who you are and give us some information.
Well, just starting out, let's say since 1958, did some judo, jiu-jitsu, karate, and been publishing for other people as well as myself. A lot of martial arts books, have many bestsellers. Of course, I help out, written many ads for the martial arts practitioners as well as the associations over the years with Official Karate Magazine. And travel the globe, keep putting on seminars, webinars, everything that possible to help people in the next generation learn what we've done as pioneers in the martial arts to share the knowledge and help them be better at their craft. So basically it's giving back always and making sure that the people understand that they're standing on the shoulders of the pioneers and the legends in the martial arts world, so they can understand what we've gone through and that we're trying to give them our knowledge and hope that they become better than us.
Well, that's great, sir. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, as we have walked down that road and we've done many things. And what do we have? We have value, we have knowledge. I can tell you what you shouldn't do in life. That's the thing I can definitely tell you is what you should and should not do.
Amen.
Because those decisions will make you or they will break you. And we really, especially at this time, want to help the martial arts grow. So everyone, as you're listening to these great masters, these are people that I know that you trust because they've been there. You look at their work, there's a legacy of their work. Grandmaster Van Cleef, tell us a little bit about you. I want to say that you were one of those both of you guys were inspiration when I started in the martial arts. It was the magazine, Official Karate, there was the movies. I stay up all night, finding your movies, sir, and I'd be practicing doing my karate, because man, you were just taking out some folks.
Well, Jesse, I started my training in 1959 with Moses Powell in Brooklyn in Sanuka's Jiu Jitsu. We trained at a place called the St. John's Community Center. Ronald Duncan taught there. George Cofield taught there. Professor V taught there. There was so many pioneers and great grandmasters training there. I was in awe. I was 15 when I started with Moses. So to see him perform, he was my Batman, my Superman. He introduced me to
There I am.
Grandmaster Peter Urban.
I'm
Hi,
back,
Karen.
guys. Sorry,
Oh.
I knew that was going to happen.
Oh, that's okay. We're glad you're here. I trained with
Thank you.
Grandmaster
Peter.
Peter Urban, and he is the one that inspired me to write. I wrote my first book, The Manual of the Martial Arts, in 1980. Sensei Urban told me if I didn't write the book, I was done. He took my red belt away and threw me out of the dojo.
Oh,
That book, The Manual of the Martial Arts, became the textbook for the Secret Service, and it became a bestseller. So for my first run out of the gate to write a bestseller, it was kind of amazing. And I could not have done it without Sensei Urban. And Andrew, you had a lot to do with my inspiration.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, your articles and books. Thank you. I always wanted to tell you thank you for that.
My
You
pleasure.
were very helpful. And I've written 11 books already. And what I'm trying to do is pass on a legacy to the next generation of martial artists and non-martial artists. My latest book is the Black Heroes of the Martial Arts, Volume 2, with Michael Jai White on the cover. And I had a chance to give exposure to 50 or 60 martial arts people that most people never heard of and are truly pioneers and legends within our community. So it was really a great opportunity for me to express the consciousness of Black people in the martial arts by exposing them to the world and media. I just finished my first film that I produced, and it is a documentary film. And thank you, Andrew, for that also. The information you gave me earlier was very helpful. It's called The Hangman. It's an adaptation of my autobiography, The Hangman, the book. I just got a distributor, a world distributor.
Wonderful.
It will be on Showtime, HBO, Cinemax, Netflix, Amazon Prime, complete. So books are important. And it's important for all martial artists, not just Black ones, but all martial artists to have a record of their life and their history and their involvement in the martial arts. I've had some great teachers, and many of them have passed already. So how do we give them courtesy? How do we give them respect other than putting them in our books and having people remember their legacies? Peter Urban was an amazing person that most people never even thought of him that way. They thought of him as just a martial artist, but he was a scientist, he was a psychologist, he was a musician, he was an author. He was a Renaissance man.
Yes, he was.
He was truly a Renaissance man.
Wow.
So my advice is keep writing, guys. There's no choice. We're getting old. All of us are old now. Not you, Jesse. You but
Until I shaved my head.
we have a limited window of opportunity, time-wise, because no one knows what this day will bring. So it's important to document now. I'm writing a memoir. And this is,
let me just jump in there. Grandmaster Urban said many, many times, if you don't document the history of the martial arts, then it never happened.
yes.
So that is the most important quote that always made me feel good about writing early on, is to do the articles, to teach the how-to whether it's empty hands or weapons or the psychology, the spirituality, whatever it is, you had to make sure that the journey that you have taken is not only passed on, but recorded. Because if you don't record it, again,
It didn't happen.
Yeah. So I just want to mention that. I was trying to look for a quote. I had a great quote from Grandmaster Herdman. So continue, because this is important for authors to have people that you admire, your peers, your mentors, to also give you a forward in your book or give you a quote for the cover, because that's the most important thing when you're writing a book. People, unfortunately, judge books by the cover. So the front cover, the back cover, that's the most expensive real estate in the publishing world.
That's right. And most people, they don't even understand that.
Right. And having a great artist do it, not do it, with a amateur, you get what you pay for, you hire the best artist you can afford. And that cover has to jump out. It has to be attractive. It has to be appealing. It has to have action. It speaks volumes. It must tell a story, because without that description on the cover,
no one's going to buy the book or pick it up, right?
That's correct. And by the way, the most important thing is a benefit title. A benefit title. In 7 words or less, you've got to tell the people what the book is about. And if you can't do it in the title, you have a subtitle underneath it. For example, when I did the Nunchaku book, it was called Nunchaku, Karate's Deadliest Fighting Sticks. And the concept of that was to actually have a multiple of people fighting with knife, with gun, with whatever, showing movement on the cover. So that sort of brought people into the book. It's like, wow, what is that? And this is now before Bruce Lee made this popular. We're talking about 1974. Anyway, continue. I'm going to try to find that quote, which says a lot for what he did, and explain the importance of having quotes on the back of the cover of the book. Every book you write, you always have to have, for example, on the back, what I said here was, and this is important, here's what 6 foremost martial arts authorities say about Master Linick's 3rd edition. Now, selling over 250,000 copies at $35 a piece is pretty good, since it's self-published. But having the back with the media, as well as your peers, on that back cover is so important, because once they look at the front cover, they automatically flip to the back cover. So if you didn't capture them with the copy, the title, the subtitle, that active picture on that front cover, they flip it over, and you've got to have powerful testimonials from people they know and respect. Continue, sir. I just wanted to make that point.
This is where for new people or people thinking about writing a book, this is some of the technology things that you really have to know in doing that. Grandmaster Shuey, let's go to you, and share with us, tell everybody who you are. We may have listeners that don't know who you are, the Cane Master. So share that. Then Karen, we're coming right to you.
Well, number one, thank you very much for doing this, because I'm brand new at this, as you guys know. The first book I'm doing is talking about the cane, which really surprised me, because most people don't know the cane at all. I was very surprised. I got started in the cane really when I was doing, I started out with the Norris system, Tong Sudo. I did that. I got the black belt there. Then I went into Taekwondo, then Hapkido. Hapkido, as we know, has a bunch of weapons you're supposed to learn. I believe there's like 250 of them total. And it introduced me to the cane. I was visiting my brother about 25 years ago in Palm Springs. 3 ladies over 75 years old were brutally raped. I couldn't believe it. It really, for some reason, hit me hard. Being attacked, period, at any age sucks. But at 75 years old, I really slapped me in the face. And I started looking for good, strong canes. Couldn't find any. Then I started looking for cane systems. We had systems with canes in it, but no system on the crook cane. which I was amazed because, as we all know, the martial arts pride themselves on taking tools and making weapons out of them. And a cane is 3 feet long. And if you look at it as a weapon, it's kind of like a billy club with a meat hook on the end of it. And you can get on an airplane first. And they can't even ask you why you carry a cane because of the HIPAA Act. And I'm starting to read all this, and I'm just totally amazed that the martial arts didn't have a cane system. And of course, it got me popular. And I started the martial arts, actually started in judo when I was about 12. And then I went from judo to boxing. And because back in my day, you guys were with me on this, you used to fight. If you used your feet, you were a dirty fighter. And after a good fight, we'd become friends. The only place you couldn't fight was on the school grounds. I was raised in the San Fernando Valley in California. And we used to have teachers, as long as we didn't fight on the school grounds, they would come and watch some of the fights and referee them. It was kind of fun. But after a fight, like I remember getting a fight with a leader of a gang. What was his name? Campbell. Anyway, and at the end of the fight, we shook hands and we became pretty good friends. And that's how it used to be back in the 50s and 60s, right?
That's for sure.
And nowadays, you got to worry about them stabbing you, or kicking you, or killing you. So it's not the same. And we talk about martial arts. I love the martial arts. I hope we don't get anybody mad here, but I don't like 5-year-old black belts. I think this is getting.
Nor do I.
Yes, it's not right. But I know when I used to work out the Norris systems, if we didn't leave bleeding and bruised, we didn't have a workout. And now if you do that, they'll sue you. In fact, I had one of my students threaten to sue me. I told him I never taught him how to block with his face, so there's no reason for him to get upset because he had a little bloody nose, but different story. But the cane is what I'm into. I've been doing nothing but the cane for the last 25 years. I make the canes. I just sold the main cane making portion of the business, Cane Masters. And all I do are the high-end ones, the people who want my signature and collector's canes. But the cane is something that you can carry everywhere in the world. And the hardest person to sell a cane to is a senior. They think they look old and weak.
Yeah.
I don't know about the weak part of it because I can get a cane going over 300 miles an hour in a half a second.
Wow.
But the looking old, that's something they got to figure out on their own. Not the cane. I got a quick story for you. Then I'll get on that. I'm in the post office. There's a guy walking beside me. He's about 75, I'm guessing. And he's taking 2 and 3 inch steps. Can hardly walk. His head is down. He's looking around, doesn't want to fall down. And I stopped him. I said, "Sir, do you ever think about carrying a cane? It would take the weight off your joints and you'd be able to walk a lot better." And he tried to look me in the eyes and went, "That'd make me look old." That's what I'm up against. And now with this COVID going on, it's getting tougher. I do have a program for the veterans where I give them a free $225 cane and 3 hours of instruction on how to use it, mostly in self-defense. And when I first designed the cane, it was too heavy for most seniors to even use because going to the senior centers. And I designed a complete exercise system and a balancing system that you can do standing up, laying in bed, or sitting in a chair. So I'm having fun with this cane. I just have got to put some books on it because get these seniors to realize the cane is not a crutch. It is a tool that you should carry everywhere you go, and you'll be styling and walking in style if you have a cane and know how to walk properly. That's pretty much digested it down.
Well, this is what we're talking about. We're all doing something totally different, but what you do, you start by looking at where you are and what is that you have a value and that you love doing. And you sort of move forward. You don't really have to go out and create new. You find out where you are. You take your own life experiences, the things that you're using and the things that you're doing. Hey, Karen.
Yes, sir.
Karen Eden. Talk to us a little bit. I know that, you've got a lot of really good stuff, great books, the media background, you're on our radio show. So talk to us, please.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm truly honored that I know each and everybody on the panel and have for many, many years. I actually have a background in journalism. I was in broadcast news for over 25 years or so, which is why I'm in Denver, Colorado. I took a 5-year contract with Fox News in Denver. And I'm not doing broadcast news anymore, but when I got out, I wrote 4 books. And this is something when the spirit moves me, I'll continue to write books. It's just, John Corcoran said you can either write or you can't. It's, in other words, it's an ability to do it or it's not an ability to do it. He was very discriminating. He was one of the first in martial arts to write. He took me under his wing back in the 90s, in the early 90s, and gave me my first column. And I was the first to have a philosophical type column that I'm aware of. That's what he told me. And we weren't sure how that was going to work out, but people ended up just loving it. When people were writing about winning and kicking butt, I came in and wrote about what it was like to lose and how you pick yourself up and go on. And that's always been my theme, is being an inspirational writer. And out of that came 4 books. And I'm truly honored. I still write for 2. I still have 2 columns in 2 different karate magazines today. Though honestly, guys, I think we all know that hard copy magazines are kind of going by the wayside. I think
Okay, we may be losing Karen, and we'll give her another second here.
Feel so bad now.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, ma'am, we can hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know how much you heard. My mentor was John Corcoran. He was one of the first martial arts writers in the business, rest in peace. And he took me under his wing back in the early 90s. And he said, you can either write or you can't. And Karen, you can write. And so I appreciate him doing that. My writing is very philosophical, very inspirational. And I was kind of a test baby with that because people weren't sure how well that was going to go over in martial arts writing when most people were writing about winning tournaments and being able to kick people's butt on the street and that kind of thing. And, I was the one that was writing about losing and how you pick yourself up and go back and go for more. So it ended up being something that worked out well. There was a need for it in the market to have a writer who wrote with inspiration. And today I still have 2 karate magazine columns and I have 4 books out. So I'm deeply honored that people can take something I say from my heart and it touches them. I'm truly honored with that.
Great, that's great. Okay, so Grandmaster Linick, how did you come up with the magazine? I know back in the day when I first started in the martial arts, magazines were out, and my inspiration starting off in the martial arts was picking up a magazine, and on the inside cover was an ad for Chuck Norris, and he had this large trophy cup on his thigh. And that was my first real image as a martial artist on day one. I knew from that image that I wanted to be a karate champion. My focus in writing my teacher, Jan Wellendorf and Dale Brooks, they wrote Who's Who in American Karate back in the early 80s. And that was sort of my inspiration because they'd done all of those great things. And our first book in 2015 was only to say thank you. There was not a second book that was scheduled. We're in book number 7, but it wasn't scheduled to actually be. So how did you get started with the magazine, sir?
Actually, I didn't start the official karate magazine. That was started by Al Weiss back in 1968. Right. And what was interesting is that back in the day, he reached out to the martial arts community and he found very little people wanting to help because of the huge egos, and there was a problem getting content at the time. So he reached out, and I wish that actually, I'm just thinking about, the names anyway. So he reached out to people like the Ishinru guys, Don Nagel, Gary Alexander, Lula Zott, and I was about 6th on the list. And, he asked us, would we contribute? And then from the Tong Dojo, George Cofield was another one that, contributed early on. And we were asked to, basically talk about articles, how to talk about the philosophy and, help readers understand what martial arts was all about. I took over official karate about 7 years ago, and with my managing editor and dear friend Keith Yates, Grandmaster Yates, and we put out, the printed version, and then we went also to the .com. But the concept again was when I first wrote my ad for the Nunchaku book, and this is important because you want to test the title, you want to test the concept and things like that. It was 1974, and I remember putting a full-page ad in, and it probably is one of the most talked about ads back then because of what it stated. And the book was going for like $10 in early on, the first edition. And I remember paying $175 for a full-page ad in Official Karate magazine, which back then was the first magazine to have only karate, because Black Belt had judo, had jujitsu, had all these other things. All these other magazines had more than one art. So this was a unique concept, which was very, very successful. And Dave Weiss, his son, also was the one of the editors, and Alan Paul was the managing editor, who I worked very closely with. So the long story is, I had the book basically done. It wasn't printed, but I said, let me test the concept, because Nunchaku was sort of back in the day, pretty ominous, and it didn't become illegal until many years after. So I put the ad in, wrote the ad myself, and lo and behold, I got in $3,000 worth of orders on a $175 investment. And I went, holy crap. I says, I have a runaway bestseller here. I better print the book. So I realized that FTC law said if you state and you put out a postcard stating that the book is coming, and if they want their money back, they have to, sign something, and then you can give them the money back. But what I did is I kept giving premiums, which is something free, if they waited for the book to be published. And lo and behold, I had less than 0.1% of the people ask for their money back. So they waited, and thank goodness they did. And the reason I bring that up is that Official Karate was one of the most successful magazines of its time, and also paid out for the advertisers. We had a lot of advertisers in there, and Ron will admit that we've also done and acted in these different ads ourselves, because people came after us saying, hey, can you vouch for our product? Can you sponsor the product? And we said, sure. So that's another good thing that you want to do. Always try to sponsor a product or do a testimonial for a product, because then you get a chance to put your name and now your .com, a few lines under it. So it's like having a free advertisement called a tagline. So the more testimonials you give for people like ourselves that are writers and publishers and journalists, the more free advertising you get. So that's basically, how the effectiveness of Official Karate came about. And then, we took it over, and it's still going through its stages now, because we're going to be doing something brand new for 2021, which will be a different format, and you'll see what happens. So stay tuned.
Sounds good.
Wait, that is great. And this is the information that you have to have if you're going to look at becoming an author. You can put some stuff together, you can get it out there, but if you're going to become an author and you want it to monetize it, and I think that most people write for one of three reasons. They write and publish because it's something they always wanted to do, and it doesn't matter if it makes money or not.
Passion.
They write because they wanted to do something else. Many of my first 6 books were on motivational speaking, because I was a speaker and lecturer for what was called in the old days Silver Mind Control, or the Silver Method. And I was doing seminars for them, and I was writing to give myself credibility for my seminars for people coming in, and then it went into my training manuals, and I started bowling, and I turned pro on the PBA tour. And one of the books I wrote was Zen Bowling, The Psychology of Better Bowling. And that's sort of similar to you, Hanshi, that I did this CD first, and it was a meditation CD, visualization CD. And I purchased an ad in the Bowling magazine, and people started to purchase my product. I was doing it on my computer, but I started getting so many orders, I had to go to a studio and then record it. And then it just sort of exploded, and it became the #1 selling CD. But it was because I was bowling. I was already into the mindset game, the mental part of it. So teaching bowlers how to visualize, how to stay focused. I was a bowling coach for Duke University, and being able to put all these things together. But my books and everything else helped to move me to these different positions. At Duke University, you have in your own book, you have your own courses. So it sort of opened the doorway. And that's what you have to look at, is that your book can open the doorway. And again, the third reason is because you want to monetize. And that's like with Hanshi Linick was saying a few months ago, he's a master. And I really do thank you for the information and support that you gave myself and Grandmaster Corley when we started on this project. Just the support that you gave to us, because you're correct. Books, the first thing I see is the book. Do I want to pick it up? Then I look at the cover before I even get to the inside of it. And then when you have a product that's actually good for people to read, our first books was really about the martial arts, the great martial arts, the competitors, the champions. And that book didn't really work well. And the reason it didn't work well, because the people that were in it, they wouldn't purchase a book. So you have all these books about all these people, but they don't want to invest, into reading a book. They don't want to support the book. So we switched it and we began to write about the story. Why? Why did you get involved in the martial arts? And how has the martial arts benefited your life? So the Martial Arts Masters and Pioneers series is a, I just got the second edition of the book in today, and it's about 588 pages of motivational stories. And
are we in there, by the way? Are we in there?
We're not in this one, sir, but we do have both of you guys in our other books.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. And go ahead, sir.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that for no other reason. The book is your calling card. Like you said, it is a very important step that gets you into the doors of any place you want to go. It creates your own opportunity because it's a third party believability factor that says you are a leader. You are the top in your field, or one of the best, or a rising star. So instead of giving a card, you're giving somebody a book. They are very impressed about that. And using that to get into teaching on, for example, the cruise ships that I've done early on, or the camps, the colleges. This was really very, very important, because you stand alone when you present them with a hard copy or a soft cover copy of your book. And again, that has your peers and many people that they respect on the cover, praising the efforts and the content inside. So it is your calling card in book form that should be used to open doors for every opportunity you can think of. So you're absolutely right. And by the way, Zen Bowling is a great title, because you're going, huh? What's that about? Do I talk the ball hitting? Do I talk to the ball and it gets a strike? I don't even have to throw it down.
Well, and that was the whole thing about it. It was the meditation things, the martial arts. So we have now Zen Mind Body for Martial Artists is a new release we're getting ready to do. But the creative, but I was already doing these things, and that's sort of what we want to realize. Grandmaster Van Cleef, tell us, how did you get connected to the movies? I know you have a new movie that's coming out too, so tell us about that.
Well, I was a policeman in New York when I got my honorable discharge from the Marine Corps. I went on the New York City Transit Police Department in 1965 through 1969. In 1969, I won my first world championship, and I became a stuntman with the East Coast Stuntmen's Association. My first gig was on Kojak, Patty Savalas and George, his brother. I met them. I was a cab driver, and he jumped in the cab and we had a conversation, and that's how I got in the business. So I joined the East Coast Stuntmen's Association with Alex Stevens and Harry Mattson. They did all the TV and all the major films on the East Coast and West Coast. One day, an agent called me, Betty White. She was at Black Beauty Modeling Agency, which represented me. And they said they had an audition for a martial arts film for a Black martial arts master. They had these auditions in 9 different states. The audition I did in New York had over 3,000 people come to. Everybody, I don't know until, I still don't know why I got that part, but evidently I got it for a reason. And, you know, it led for the opportunity for me to go to Hong Kong. I spent 10 years living in Hong Kong. I did about 30, 40 films there. But if it were not for the martial arts, this opportunity would have never presented itself. You know, in 1965, I joined the Negro Ensemble Company with Douglas Turner Ward and Ruby Dee and Robert Hooks. And I became a stage actor. I was working in the field to become a serious actor, you know, a thespian. But the stunts took over, the martial arts took over, and once I became a Black Dragon, it was too late to turn back. It's been an interesting ride. I mean, what I've learned from the whole thing, Jessie, is you have to stay active mentally and physically. You know, when I was 51, I decided I would fight in the UFC. I saw UFC 3 on television. I said, oh, I have to do this. You know, Joe Louis called me and said, you're out of your mind, Ron. You are out of your, you know what, mind. I said, Joe, I gotta do it. So I fought in the UFC. I was 51 years old and 11 months. So I was almost 52. I fought Royce. The match lasted about 5 minutes. He's one heck of a master of jiu-jitsu. He was 22, I was almost 52. You know, I mean, it's a big gap, 25 years in between, but it was a wonderful experience. You know, I then, they appointed me the commissioner of the UFC. I produced UFC 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And at that point, it became too circus-like for me. And I decided that I would not be the commissioner, so I resigned. But I went on to work on many films. You know, I was the action director for The Last Dragon, my student timeout, who started with me when he was like 11 years old. He's now 54. Yeah, it's great to see the students over the years. I have students call me from all over the world. And they say, you know, Sensei, I was 12 years old when I was with you. I'm now 60. And you say, what? It's really hard to believe sometimes, you know?
And I got to say something too. I just got somebody who said to me, I was teaching them when they were 10 years old from Shelbourne, Monaco Beach Club, where I taught the South Shore. And he said that I had definitely made an impression in his life.
Oh, that's wonderful, isn't it?
He contacted me after all these years. He's 65 years old, and he gets, you know, saw me on Facebook, whatever. And that makes it all worthwhile because, you know, there's certain students that you touch their lives. I had another person, and again, you've had this too, Ron, and I'm sure everybody on the panel has had that happen, where somebody said, you know what? If I didn't take lessons from you, Sensei, I would be in jail. I would have been selling drugs.
I heard that yesterday.
But, you know, I was 15 years old, and my mom and this guy happened to have been Puerto Rican, and she took me to your class, and she said, please make a mensch out of him, because if not, he's going to wind up going to jail. And he has three children. He stays in touch. And this is what really makes it all worthwhile, because, you know, these people, you were their mentors. You gave them, love and discipline, respect, courtesy. You taught them the old ways, the way we were taught. And for them to come back 50 years later and say, hey, by the way,
I know it's unbelievable. It's truly.
so I just had to mention that because it just happened the other day, and I went, who is this guy? And I kept everything, and I went, holy smokes, he was such a young pipsqueak back in the day on the beach teaching judo.
And that's the thing that makes it worthwhile. I know for myself, that's it. I'd have no idea where I would be in life if it had not been for the martial arts and a good teacher.
Exactly.
I always have to say
Absolutely.
that. I always have to say that because martial arts doesn't do anything for you.
Nope.
It is the person that wields this martial art, this powerful thing, and it's based on their teachers and the focus that their teacher had from the martial arts, that byproduct of the focus, the discipline, the fighting skills. And it's not just about fighting. And the martial arts is really learning to discover yourself. And, yeah. And Mark, I know you from a lot in the sport karate when you were competing. So what got you into putting all your programs together? Mark, what motivates you to put all your books and programs together? I know you have the exercise book, you have your CD programs, you have your online courses that you're actually teaching also.
There was nobody really helping seniors. And now that I'm a senior, I've been 39 and a half for over 34 years, and it catches up with you. And I wanted to help people, and they love it. I get calls every day saying thank you, because the thugs out there see people that carry a cane wrong, and they become targets. And if you don't carry a cane, a lot of them won't carry a cane because it makes them feel old, and they're being attacked. And nobody was really helping seniors per se. Martial artists, after you turn 40, your body changes, as we all know. And I'm grateful that at my age I can still do the splits. And I want to help these people, because if they don't get out and start doing something, exercising or walking or swimming, whatever it happens to be, hell, you rust and you die. The average person only lives to be about 18 months to 4 years after they retire, because they don't have anything to do. And getting in and starting to exercise and using a cane for more than just walking around as a crutch is helping a lot of people. And it just makes me feel good inside. It opens up my heart. I'm not making a whole bunch of money doing this, but I'm helping so many people. And the letters and comments I get just fills my heart up. And that's why I do it.
That's great. And Karen, I know that, we have the radio show. I know that you are a chaplain. I know that you come from a lot of a spiritual enlightenment in your writing. So what got you involved of really wanting to put together your book?
Well, I have 4 books out. 3 of them are martial arts philosophy, and then the other one is more of a self-help type book. And a chaplain is someone who's considered a clinical pastor, and there are certifications to get that. And the difference in a chaplain and a minister is just that a chaplain is government certified to go into hospitals or into armed forces and do their chaplaincy. So there's quite a difference in the curriculum between a chaplain and a minister. I honestly think, Hanshi, that if you believe in something and it's in your heart and in your soul, you can't help but write about it. It's just who you are. And as a writer, you're an artist. And they often say that whether you're looking at a blank canvas to paint or a blank piece of paper to write, it's still art, and you have to be able to express yourself and get people hopefully to understand exactly what your expression is. I've gone through situations. I've been writing for these magazines for 20 years now, and I've gone through many editors, and a lot of them, they liked my writing as far as inspiration, but a lot of them they didn't, and sometimes still don't like when I get spiritual on it. And I always let them know. I said, listen, this is who I am. This is how I write. And you can't tell someone who paints a certain way to not paint something when that's their expression. So a lot of my encouragement and inspiration does come from my faith, and I'm a Christian, and it's very expressed in that. And so far, people, as far as the audience, has really embraced it. And so, we have to be respecters of all things, but at the same time, you can't tell me not to express myself. So that's how I deal with a lot of that. Yeah, absolutely. That my spirituality is just cool, and that's something that
I'm sorry, I have to do a private lesson. I forgot about this thing. I love you guys. Let's do this again. I've been totally informed. I really appreciate everything you're doing, but I have to go teach a private lesson. I'm sorry. You guys have a great time. I hope we do this again
take
soon.
care, Mark.
All right, Mark.
Hey,
Thank you.
Mark.
Okay,
Okay, now,
take care.
All right.
be well.
Okay, well, we're getting ready to wrap up. And Karen, again, we appreciate, we speaking. Let's talk about that for a second, because being a martial artist opens you up to becoming a public speaker. You need to, get involved in some classes, some courses. You're teaching every day, and there's a
Toastmasters.
world that really wants to know what we have to say, especially the business world. And I know most times martial artists think about going to a corporation, and to work with a corporation, they think about the only thing that they have to do is to teach them about martial arts. But there's a number of ways of teaching about martial arts. And number one is, focus, self-discipline, visualization, mental empowerment, black belt toughness. Now, this is what companies need for their employees and their teams to be able to move forward. So if you are a martial artist and you really love teaching the martial arts, you have to sometimes change that role. This is one of those times. If you're only connected to your martial arts school, then you're limited. So you have to look at yourself and say, well, I love teaching. I love the martial arts. Hey, listen, go and take a certification course to become a life coach. There's so many things you can do right now to empower yourself, so when this pandemic is over, you'll have other tools in your bucket. But if you're going to sit and wait for it to be over and you're not going to do anything, you're going to fail, and time's going to pass you by. This is the time to get into an author's course. This is the time to get into a writing course. This is the time to do coaching. Right now, I'm taking 3 online certifications about coaching. I've already done these things, already certified, but I found other people that I'd love to study their work and enhance my life by. So there's so many things that we can actually do. So Grandmaster Linick, anything else you want, any last comments for you?
Well, I just wanted to mention that if anybody did want to buy the Nunchaku book or the course, that they also could teach it in their school, or they can teach it online, but they should contact me at Hanshi Linick at gmail.com instead of Amazon, because Amazon is selling it at ridiculous prices, and it is a collector's edition. And you learn a lot because, believe it or not, it's the first course that had a self-quiz at the end of every chapter. And then I also made a certificate for completion. So you also want to have various things when you do a book that is very unique and very different. So having pins and patches and decals and having merchandise that goes along with the book as additional profit centers is very important, because the average order, instead of being $35, now is $65. So, bounce backs, meaning that you put something else in the book. It could be from a competitor, a friendly competitor. So now you're also selling other people's products, and you're making 50% sharing with a friend. And that's a great way of making additional profits from just one book. Whereas I try to teach people to build an empire based on this one book that now spreads out into other things. Like you mentioned, Hanshi, that you definitely want to do public speaking. You want to be a master at your craft. You want to learn the art of doing DRPR, which is direct response press releases, where you have an offer in the press release where somebody then goes to a landing page and can buy your book direct from the landing page or from a press release, and then getting featured by top magazines and radio stations and TV. You can then, when they write your release, when they place it in their publication, you can say as featured in Black Belt, Official Karate, Forbes, Finance, Yahoo. And this is so important because people say, wow, you were written up in all of these fantastic publications. You were on TV, like the Black Dragon, you were in movies, you did film, you did this and that. And it's like, you know, your reputation precedes you because the third party media has given you credence. And that's so, so important. And I always advise people that if you want to produce a book, pre-test it first. I'm helping authors all over the world. I've been doing that for over 55 years. And, you know, feel free to write me. I give a lot of free information on this stuff. And, you know, if you want to get the book at 50% off for the next week, I will do that. I will sign it for you and hopefully help you with anything with your publishing career.
I love you, Andrew.
Also.
I love you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, sir. You know, of course, you know, you have a very big heart. You're a great martial artist. You're a great man, and you know, for myself personally, I want to thank you and say, you know, thank you for everything that you do for the martial arts. Thank you for everything you've done for me personally, and everyone. You know, if you call them and you have a question, they're martial. We've been there and done that. They're there to support you. And if you're looking for a coach and you want to get into publishing business, then, you know, Hanshi Linick is one of those people that everybody will tell you is a man that you actually go to. You know, so there's just so much.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
You know, one thing, you know, I have just started about a year ago writing for the Martial Arts World News, and they featured me on the cover. And on the cover it says, you know, it's about building your personal brand. And that's what we really have to think about. And I told someone a few weeks ago that, you know, they were, you know, saying some things that weren't very nice. And I said to him, I said, you must be careful because I am a brand. You know, so now that speaks for itself, is that's who we are, you know, and we have that brand is very valuable. So your knowledge and information is valuable, and you have to treat it like it's something valuable that you're doing. But, you know, writing for the magazine, just started writing for in Brazil, just started writing for the Masters magazine, and, you know, it's in Portuguese, so they're translating my English writing, and it's all about mindset. You know, so the things I was doing way back in the day, visualization class, motivational classes, that's what I'm talking about in the martial arts. So now they're translating those things. So we do have, you know, those opportunities. And Grandmaster Van Cleef, any last words from you?
Well, I just started writing for a new martial arts magazine, the Black Dragon Martial Arts Magazine. And it will be a magazine that will really highlight Hispanics, African Americans, martial arts practitioners that never get any play. And I was approached by a team from Los Angeles. They used to write for Black Belt and things like, so they're doing a new magazine. I jumped on board, and I have my own monthly article, and it's Black Dragon Speaks. And I think it's going to do very well because we have not had the representation that everyone else has had. I just finished working on an animated film. It's called The Tao of the Black Dragon. And it's a 90-minute piece, super martial arts, super stuff. These guys did, they've worked in Avatar. So they're really high quality animators.
Fantastic picture,
The
Avatar.
video game just dropped 2 days ago. The free download just dropped. Epic is handling it. So I'm gonna have the movie out in the new year, and the video game will be out next month.
Wow.
The Power of the Black Dragon. So you have to combine these different entities and make them your brand. You know, books, DVDs, video games, podcasts, all of it can be done just from writing. I advise everyone to write their book. Everyone has a story, and it's an important story.
Wow.
And I can be reached at ronvancleave.com or blackdragonfan.com or my email, ronvancleave@yahoo.com. I'm easy to get in touch with, and I'm open. Anyone, if you need my help in regards to any of these projects, I'd be very happy to assist.
Wow.
And
Thank
Jessie,
you, sir.
thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Karen,
Thank you
any
for having
last
me.
words?
Yes, sir. I would just like to encourage everybody to just not get discouraged in a very difficult time on the planet right now. I'm starting to pick back up on my speaking engagements. You all know I got a lot of Native American in me, and I make it a mission of mine to try to help the cause of missing and murdered Indigenous women, a problem with Native American women I don't know about. Thousands of Native American girls and women have gone missing over the last several years, and nobody knows what happens to them. So I go into tribal areas and the reservations as a Native American myself, and I teach self-defense women and children, girls as young as 12 years of age, or
You go, Karen.
back on track with that. I appreciate you, patronizing my books. I have 4 out. You can Google them in my 2 martial arts magazines. And of course, AMAA Martial Arts Masters and Pioneers every Monday night live, 8 p.m. And the production of Grandmaster Bowen. Thank you, guys. Love you, and God bless you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Jessie,
And,
thank you.
Thank you very
sir.
much for having me.
Yes, sir. But that's sort of one of the other things we've done, from the Martial Arts Masters and Pioneers, we named the radio show, the AMAA Martial Arts Masters Radio Network. But that's
Awesome.
what we continue to do. We continue to build that brand and that, keep it out there that people know about it. Professor Gary Lee's on that program, but there's just so many ways. So everyone, reach out to us if you want to get involved in the publishing. If you're looking for coaching and support, everybody in this program is a coach and they can give you direction. Again, we started our publishing company. Let us know. We'd love to help you to produce your book. We want to do the book expo in Vegas next year, and where we're going to have authors from all across the country come to Vegas and actually have a whole book expo, and that's sponsored through Elite Publications. And then we will have the next edition of whatever it's going to be called. We've done 3 editions of the martial arts, of the Who's Who in the Martial Arts Legends book. So we just finished 3 books in the Martial Arts Masters and Pioneers. So, we're going to be looking at what's going to be coming up next year. I really want to just take a break and help people write their stuff. Not just, I'm always blessed and benefit from doing things, but I really want to give back and help other people come up. It's a little lonely at the top, so, really want to try to give back. But guys, thank you. Any last words?
Thank you, Jessie.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I just wanted to say that I owe you a phone call because I have a great idea that can be done between our publishing firms. So what's a good time to get you, sir?
For you, sir, anytime.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
Everyone, be blessed. And hey, we look.
Karen, Andrew, Jessie,
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. Again,
be safe.
thank you so much, for being a part of, everything that we actually have going on. And I'm exiting here, get back here so we can end. But everyone,
Good
have a Merry Christmas,
Yes.
Happy New Year, and all that kind of good stuff.
God bless everybody. Stay safe. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.